What's going on, everyone? Guys, I am so excited to be with you once again for the next edition of my main mini series, which is focusing on mental health and topics that are very personal to me that I think will resonate with you guys as an audience. And if you guys are watching on YouTube today, I do have my room switched around a little bit with the camera, and so you guys can see some of my family here on the wall and just get a little different view. And if you're not watching, no fear, we have a lot of good words for you as well. And I hope that this will find a way to connect with you. I normally don't tell you guys what time I'm recording because it's all about you as a listener, and you may be someone that listens early in the morning on your way to work or on a walk later after work is over. And that is the theme today, which is time. And I didn't do this purposefully, but with shifting around the view in this room, it gives you a different outlook on life, right? When you have a view of something and you see the same thing over and over and over again, and the way that you're looking at it is with the same set of eyes through the same filter with the same backgrounds, you tend to have the same opinions repeated and validated over and over again. And one of the issues that I've run into, that I'm sure many of you have as well, is looking at time through the eyes of comparison. Yes, comparison, the thief of joy, as was once said. And I know that I have struggled with birthdays, and I have a birthday coming up here in a couple weeks. I've struggled with those because not only do I love my birthday, which I do, and I get a lot of excitement about, but the crash that comes after my birthday, because I really get excited and I make a lot of plans and like to share a lot of phone calls and catch up with people that I've haven't talked to in a while, and use it as my excuse that someone has to have a conversation with me and catch up, because I really love getting back with people that I haven't talked to in a while. And what better excuse than it's my birthday, you have to talk to me. And the struggle that I do have after those events happen and those conversations happen is with after I've caught up with someone who maybe there's been a period of time where we've had some disconnection, or a period of time where we haven't gone without talking for a while, and you get some of those moments where you're asking how someone else's day is going, how their life has been going as of late, their job, their family, and all the things that you feel like you're missing out on when you hear about your friends and their kids and their additions to their home that they've done, and their business goals and the things that they've done in the time that you've gone apart, and all the things that you feel like you're behind in life, and the ways that you feel like you've let yourself down and not accomplished those goals. And with birthdays in particular, it brings a sense of mortality to your life, and not even in the way of life and death, but periods of time where you feel like you've let things get away from you. Being in my early 30s now, I know that I have a different outlook than I did at 22 that I do at 32. And I'm really grateful that I've had time to work on my mindset and my outlook, because at 22, I definitely had thoughts that things were just going to go great and they were always going to work out. And time almost was not even existent, if I'm being honest with you, which has a danger to it, but it also has a really, really beautiful side to it as well. Because if you've listened to some of my other episodes, one of my very personal opinions is that time doesn't exist. And I say that with a little bit of hesitation, because I'm still wrapping my head around it in a way that's human, right? Because we know that we have time where we're limited here on earth. I believe in God and the higher power. And if you don't believe in God, maybe you believe in um, transformation or reincarnation or eternity in some semblance. But if you are, follow with me here. Having time on earth allows you to think about life in a way that's meaningful because there's a beginning and an end. And when you have an appreciation that things won't be there forever, you can either let those go and not appreciate them for what they are and just think that because they're going to go away at some point that it's not even worth appreciating because you're not going to last forever and neither are they, so why should you care? Or the opinion I hope you choose and the take that I hope you instill is appreciating that for what it's worth, the time that you do have and the opportunities that you do have, giving them the proper attention, love, and energy. And back to some of those conversations that I have around my birthday and I think about with other people is where have I not accomplished something that I thought I would at that point? And where have I come up short? Okay, those are logical conversations. Those are not existential, soul level conversations. I'm someone that believes that we all have our own path forged for us. And we'll get to that here in a second, but let's stick with the ego for a minute. So you've had a conversation with some of your friends, and I've had some of these recently where I've talked to many of my friends who have kids who are married and have things that I want to have one day. Those conversations carry so much knowledge about what's important to me. And the reason that they do is because I feel that those things light me up. Having family, if you guys are looking at my wall here, obviously they mean a lot to me. They light me up. Okay. Having my own son, daughter, wife, grandkids one day, those are things that I think about. And when you have those conversations with your friends who are already married, who already have kids, who are already started on that journey, you feel behind. You feel like you've missed out on those opportunities. And even if you're able to have those at one point, they seem so distant and you can't even imagine what that might feel like. And there are a few things that I've struggled with personally with keeping a level headedness and a present mindset towards. And I hate looking away from the camera, but while I do, I've written these down because they are so meaningful to me and I want to be authentic as I share with you some of my biggest desires and things that I've personally struggled with having a consistent present moment mindset around. So dating is one of them, as I've mentioned, having a family, being married starts with having a really good spouse and having a really strong partner. Business, money, home, and location where I'm living. Finding peace here in San Diego and coming back a second time feels much different than it did the first time. But the journey it took to get there was one of a lot of ups and downs and a lot of time to, I guess, try different things out and really see what felt right for me. And there's obviously logic involved and having a place here where I know more of my skills can be grown due to a lot more of the conversations that I've had here on the West Coast and specifically in Southern California with the way that minds and conversations happen here. But having that feeling of peace where I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. So that might be one that I could say I've knocked off and I've really felt a connection to here. But particularly in your mind, you might be thinking, well, where are those areas in my life, and how have I missed the mark and how have I come up short? And these are again logical conversations, but how do we connect them to our higher thought, our higher consciousness? And I think we miss in two ways. One is in direction, and the other is in comparison. Direction. And yes, I do mean literal direction, not just emotional and not just in verbiage, right? Actual detours in our life journey. And how do we view those situations? Because I know I'm someone that I'm normally pretty type B, but when I'm getting somewhere, especially driving, I am very East Coast. I'm very type A with getting to where I need to go as fast as I need to get there. And things like detours in our life, roadblocks, moments where we feel that we should have already been somewhere, every roadblock, every detour, speed bump brings us back in a deep, dark place sometimes. And those moments where we feel like we'll never get there and our direction is lost, those are moments that really, really can define you. And again, to keep on with the road and driving references, the fork in the road, those are really fork in the road moments when we are lost directionally and practically as well as emotionally. So, direction is the first one. The second is comparison. You versus other people. How do you look at yourself and your life compared with others? You know, it was said comparison is the thief of joy. And when you're younger, you don't always recognize that truth because you think that you already know what's best for you. And you think that whatever you've had planned out is what it must be. And as you grow up and as you understand that life does not work on your timeline and life is being done to you rather than you are doing life, you start realizing that comparison is really silly. Living another's life and in another's shoes is one of the worst ways we can show respect for ourselves. That is disrespectful to ourselves. Having jealousy, having envy. Again, once we realize it, we understand that that is one of the worst ways that we can show love to ourselves. Because we're so busy and caught up living other people's stories for ourselves. And not to jump too far ahead, but that's one of the ways that we can continue to choose to live in the insanity of comparing ourselves and our lives to other people. That is one of the ways that we can keep ourselves stuck in the mud of despair. One of my favorite sayings is it takes what it takes. Directions, getting to where you need to go. You may not know that there's a road closure. And again, we're going to go a little bit back in time, right? Because now I know things are updated in seconds on maps and in apps, right? But we may not know as we're driving somewhere that an accident may occur, or we might get a flat tire, or there might be a road closure, and then it might take us a different route. And so it takes what it takes. When I wake up in the morning and I drive to work, I have to go at least 35 minutes to get to my infusion center where I work as a nurse. And when I get there, I am just as present as the nurse who drove 5 minutes down the road, who drove 10 minutes down the road. It took what it took me to get there, and it took what it took them to get there. Now, I could look at it as they had it better than me, they had it easier than me. I could look at it as I'm stronger, I wanted it more, or I could look at it as it took them what it took them, and they gave the proper output, and I did the same. Tomorrow, it may take me 45 because there may be a road closure, or I may leave late for work, and something may happen where I need to pull over. The other day, I actually had one of my windshield wipers fly off my car, and I had to pull over because it was flapping with the arm of the windshield wiper, and I had to pull over because I didn't want it to fly and hit somebody else. So that's a story for another time. But the point is, it took what it took. I had to pull over and make that change. And so we often get caught up directionless or over focused on the roadmap and how we're getting there, that we miss out on the journey and that it took what it took to get there. And in many ways, that's something that's been very apparent to me, is it has taken what it has taken. And what do we do about it? What do we do about comparison? And how do we make amends with our direction? And how do we get to where we want to go? Or how do we shift our mindset around it altogether and come up with a way that wins in both ways, in what we achieve and how we get there? Well, there are three ways we can go forward. And two of them are guaranteed to find you loss and failure and more hurt. And the other, the last way that I'll get to, is one that I believe in will get you to where you need to go, but it is the difficult choice. And so the first way is we tailgate. Sticking with road themes, that's going to be it's going to be a theme throughout. So we tailgate. And what is tailgating? That is forcing our way on someone else's rear, right? That is taking what someone else has done before us and making it be our way too. That's a friend that says, I met my significant other on this app. That is us saying that I want to be a successful business owner and I have to do exactly what this person before me did. Otherwise, I can't make it. I have to go the way that they did. I have to do it that way. They did this to get them that. Therefore, I have to do this to get me that. I have to follow their exact plan, their blueprint, and that will guarantee me a way to get what I need to get. And that could work. That could be a way to get your need met. That could be a way to get to a specific goal. But my question for you would be, is that the goal that you had for yourself? Or is that a goal that you're trying to live out for someone else? And only you can answer that. My guess would be that you're fulfilling a goal and a dream that someone else had for you. So that's number one. You can tailgate. You can try and find a way to reimagine and recreate someone else's journey. You can do their exact road that someone told you had to go down. I know when I was first starting to drive and making my way without having a lot of GPS system. I think I didn't even have Google Maps when I first started driving. 32 now, so when I was driving, I was 17. So I could be wrong about that, but feel pretty certain that, I had to find those directions ahead of time and get those planned out ahead of time. And if I drove down a road that I didn't recognize, or it gave me a detour and I didn't know how to get out of it because I didn't have service or I didn't have an app yet, then I felt a lot of panic because I didn't know how I was going to make it because I only knew that one way. I only knew what I was told. And there was no faith, there was no confidence, and there was no trust in life that I would make my way. And so that's number one is you can tailgate. You can force your journey to be what someone else did. Number two is you stay parked. You play victim. You stay in the same role that you are right now. You don't move. You continue to use the same excuses of why you don't get what you want, or that you still want something, but yet you are unwilling to change and try something different. Guys, it is easy. It is comfortable to continue to stay stuck. It's easy. Not trying to change and not doing anything different about what you want for your life is comfortable. Okay, trying to change is not a comfortable action. You feel all the disdain, you feel the distress of trying to make change and wanting something different. But taking that action, doing something different is really, really hard. And it might seem glorious and glamorous to talk about it or post it or even plan it. But once you actually take your first action steps towards that goal, it's uncomfortable. And you're going to face a lot of resistance, both from others and more so within yourself. And so staying parked, staying stuck is easy. It's doable. You can continue to do the same things and you will get the same results. But that option is there for you. That is part of the plan. That is one of the routes you can take. So that's number two. That's the second one that I don't want you to take. But you have the option to take it. And you may have taken it many times before, as have I. Number three, the option that I really want you to pursue is you turn off the directions. You turn off the app and you take the unpaved road, the road less traveled. Guys, having direction is good when you don't know where you're going. So I'm not telling you to forego technology or anything that could help you ease your way and make it more efficient. We're speaking a little more big picture. But when you force your way down a certain path, or you continue down a path that you know won't lead you to where you need to go, the only option you have, if you truly want to try to obtain a goal and to try and accomplish something that you know is really important to you, that you think is in your grasp, you really have a confidence that you can achieve, you may have to try something very different than what you initially planned. One of my favorite sayings, and I don't know where I had initially heard it from, but the saying was, if I ask God what, he will take care of the how. If I ask him to give me something, he will take care of the how. When you surrender, when you give in to needing help and making yourself vulnerable, you give up the reins of having to do it your way. And sometimes we do that for a time and then we feel better, like we've made positive movement. And then we say, no, I've got to do it. It's got to be me. I recently had a thought about this, actually, specifically because I had made a lot of changes personally, especially if you've listened to my story about location and where I'm at. I've come to San Diego again, and made a lot of other changes as well with my schedule, right? I wake up very early, and right now I'm recording. It's almost 10 o'clock. As I mentioned before, it's late here. And I need to be up early in the morning, and I'll do that. And tonight's a little different because I know that this was really weighing on me, and I had to share this. I had to record. But part of the journey for me was understanding that I needed help. I needed help. I need others. I need God. I need direction. And the way that you do that is you have to be willing to do the work, but you also have to be willing to accept help. And accepting help is the unpaved road. You're giving up how. You're giving up the way that it needs to be. I've always dreamed of myself helping people. Okay, when I was 18, I knew I wanted to be a nurse because I knew that I had a deep desire to help people. My grandfather died of cancer when I was 16. He was my best friend, and he was someone that I looked up to, not even looked up to. I still feel him right here. And the thing that I was always so sure of was that I was supposed to be a nurse because of him. And then after a few years, I felt something shift. And I had a lot of personal turmoil and inner change that had to happen. I had a breakup. I had some friends who were really close to me who we had some difficult conversations and changes in our relationships. And I knew that I needed to change. And the thing that really struck me was I needed to get out of my safety net. I needed to move away from my comfort zone and stretch that comfort zone. And the way to do that was to move. And when I did, I really shook things up. But I did think that it was for the purpose of continuing to do nursing and to make some money and build more personal connections. But that was going to be it. And I still love my job, and I love what I do, and I plan on doing it for quite a while. And I have a reinvigorated feeling towards working as being a nurse. And the thing that really, really hit me was I started feeling this inner calling to do something of my own ilk. Being a nurse, you are a team player, you work with others, and working in oncology, you have to get down, not even on someone's level, but below that level to lift them up. It is something that is such a blessing to serve. And I can't even tell you how amazing it has been to work with the patients that I have. But the one thing that I do know more than ever is my inner calling to do something of my own ilk. I think coaching is my ilk. Now, 5 years ago, I was unwilling to look anywhere else. And I was so, so uncomfortable because I knew that there was something that I was being called to do. And I was struggling to really find comfort in what that thing was going to be outside of nursing. I didn't even want to look. It was almost like, one of those, I can't remember the movie, but, they couldn't look outside because they could see the demons, and the demons would infest their mind and their bodies because that was what was keeping them sane, was not making eye contact and not being taken over. Bird Box, I think it was with Sandra Bullock. Anyways, back on task, but I wasn't even able to look away from the path that I had laid. And finding discomfort was the best thing for me. And I started that by moving, but it continued because I kept asking God to change me. And often we think change is going to be so easy and perfect and amazing that there's never going to be any bumps in the way. There's never going to be any detours. And seeing all of my friends who I love and I'm so grateful for get married, have kids, build a house, all these things that I had planned out for myself from a young age was hard. Because as I kept growing, I felt like I was disconnected from me because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be doing anymore. And coming to 2026, coming to the me of now, having those conversations, not only with others, but with myself too, and learning that I had to have those detours in order to be here. I had to take the unpaved road because the road that was paved wasn't for me. And it may not be for you either. You may not be the person that life has been easy towards or simple for. I know I haven't. And I know my friends who have been married and have kids, it hasn't been for them either. It appears that way to me because that's how I planned my life when I was 20. But they've had challenges too. I know because I talk to them and have conversations, and thank God that I do. And I'm glad that I have friends who have different lives than me because it not only gives me hope, but it gives me understanding that not everything in life and not everyone has the same path. Your path to you might feel unpaved, but I promise that it has a great destination. You have somewhere that needs you to get there. And just like the beginning of the conversation when I said about getting to work, it might take 35 minutes someday, it might take an hour another day. The journey that I have for my life might take me 33 years, it might take me 40, it might take me 50, whatever yours is. And that might be a different goal. That might be a different aspect of life that you're looking at that may be missing from you for right now. And that might not feel like life is really kind to you and that life is going well. I challenge you to look within yourself and think about, what has the road taught me? What has the journey given me that I wasn't going to get if I continued on the same path? That I wasn't going to get if I parked my car or tailgated off of someone else's path? What did that courage to take the unpaved road teach me? Or if you have been the person who's tailgated, or you have been the person who's stayed parked because it's easier to stay parked than to jump back in that car and take a different path. If that's been you, what have you missed out on by staying in your lane where you know that you need to take another? Because guys, there is beauty in the struggle. There is opportunity. There is growth for you in taking a new road. This is something that I love doing and I enjoy being able to share. I know one day there may come a time where I might decide and might feel within my heart that maybe this road that I think I'm on right now may not be the right one anymore. But that's okay. Have the courage to change paths. Have the courage to take a different road when you know the road that you're on isn't where you're supposed to be anymore. Our egos and our minds are what tell us we have to continue on that path. I've had so many great conversations recently around where I'm at and friends asking me, about how San Diego's been and where the life coaching has gone and how my job is and where I'm at, where my life is going for the moment. And one of the things that I'm really grateful for is that life has always given me the answers. God, my higher power, the universe, has always given me the answers. My friend today asked me, how do you come up with these conversations of what you want to talk about? And my answer was, I don't have to think about it. Life gives me these conversations. Things that happen to me weigh on my heart, and I have to speak on them. It doesn't have to be forced. Neither does your journey. It's okay to not have a vision for what your end goal is. Look down, see where your feet are, find ground, and continue to walk where the road takes you. And there's going to come a time where you need to change paths. Have the courage to do so. And if you don't initially, that's also okay. Last year, around a year ago, I had felt like I wanted to move and take a next step in my coaching, and moving to California eventually was that goal that I had at the time. Now, at the time, if I look back, I could have viewed that as a wasted year and a year that I didn't listen to myself and my inner voice. But the lessons that I've learned in this last year have probably been the most important. And I wouldn't have learned them in the same way had I not listened to my inner voice of not yet, not now. Have courage, trust your intuition, trust life's direction, and know that you are not behind. Guys, I hope that this translated well to your life, and I hope that you found some meaning in some of the words that I've spoken tonight. And anything that you might be struggling with, please leave it in the comments either on Spotify or Apple or my YouTube account as well. And if you are looking to do any personal work and have a connection on a deeper level with your purpose in life, whether you are feeling stuck in an area that you are, or that you want to get on a new path, you want to take the unpaved road and learn more about yourself, click on listenman.com, click on the link in the show notes, and go to my page and click connect. Let's work together. I'm here to help, and I'm definitely here to listen, as is in my name. Thank you so much for listening. And guys, always remember, your words matter. What you say and how you say them, the people you say it to, and the love that you give when you say them. Say what you mean what you say, but always remember to listen, man. Have a good night.